Hello, and welcome to the Cory Network. We have several real estate industry focused podcast shows showcasing around top leaders, company cultures, and experts serving all verticals of real estate. First up, we have Meet Your Next Best Hire, a podcast featuring and highlighting top industry real estate leaders looking to land their next venture in the job marketplace. And second, we have Company Culture Ambassadors Show, a podcast featuring top leading brands and organizations sharing their company culture, values through their voice to attract top talent to join their teams. And finally, Coffee Combos with Cory, a podcast featuring real estate industry experts adding value through their insights, expertise, and backstories to our community. I'm Cory, your host. With over a decade of real estate executive search and recruiting experience and the founder of Cory Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck, I've had the unique privilege of partnering with top real estate firms to recruit and place high-level leaders across the country. In these podcasts, we will have the amazing opportunity to hear top real estate industry leaders and organizations sharing their career stories, leadership and management style, and ultimately what they're known for in their craft and values that they're driven by. I can't wait to dive in and connect you with the best talent in the marketplace with top industry leading brands and building high performing teams. Let's dive in together. I'm so excited to share this amazing guest that I've had the opportunity to build such an incredible relationship with and share with all of you today. And not only this, it is our very first episode and our newest launch of a podcast division called Company Culture Ambassador Show. And we have Carl Swafford here. He is the Chief Operating Officer at Apartment Dynamics. And he recently joined this amazing organization based in North Carolina markets. He brings a wealth of experience working with some of the top leading brands in the industry. And we're going to hear really diving in today about what is top talent looking for? And really, when they're looking at company culture, they're assessing your competitors in the market, from hearing from your own voice, your own organization as the leader, you really spearheading where you guys are going with the brand, essentially diving in and hearing from you guys' own perspective of how do you attract top talent and how are you, cultivating this culture. And we want to hear directly from you, Carl, on behalf of Apartment Dynamics. So thank you again for sharing your precious time with us today.
Honor to be with you, Kelsey. And wow, to be the first one on this new series for yours. I'm just blessed. And thank you so much for reaching out.
Yes. And of course, we're going to dive into all the things. I'm excited to honestly hear what you have to share more about Apartment Dynamics and everything that you guys have been building, where you plan to go. Can you start with sharing a little bit more background, like a benchmark? Who are you guys? What do you guys specialize in? What's your craft?
Sure. So we are a third-party property management company. We're based out of High Point, North Carolina. We have 48 communities that we oversee for ownership groups. And right now we're at about 6,800 units. Our intention is to grow the organization up around 10,000 units. We have a team of about 150 team members. So we're excited to grow in this market. Regionally, North Carolina, South Carolina market is where we're targeting. And we're excited for the growth that's coming up for us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that's quite a few more units that you guys are looking to add on, which means bringing on the right talent to your organization is going to be critical with the existing team members that you have and the future potential opportunities I'm sure that you're going to naturally be bringing onto your portfolio. Let's dive in. I'm curious, can you share a little bit about your background? Like, what's your influence on the organization itself? And with the vision that you kind of shared with us, like, how do you envision where you're going to get there? And what timeline do you think you'll be achieving this?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about connecting with people. So my experience, I started off, it's a 35-year career. I started off as a maintenance tech, and I have found myself in every position on the site, in the corporate side, up to COO. I have an ability to connect with people no matter what your role is, and have conversations about the stresses and the successes that go along with your position and your role. And every role is so critically important to the organization and the whole team concept. Finding the right people and bringing them into the organization is critical. So company culture, it's not just a list of core values. It's 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 how the company operates within itself. Having people with the right behaviors and the right roles is really important. Cultivating that and ensuring that people have their conversations, whether it's a performance review, um, or maybe it's having a difficult conversation with somebody that needs to perform, and how they're impacting the entire culture and the reputation of the organization that they represent. Um, Finding those people is probably the most important piece of a company culture, and having people come in and do it the way the company intends to operate their business. A lot of that has to do with the coaching that's involved within an organization too, and cultivating not only the talent, but the behaviors that people have and how they interact with each other. People that are focused on the finance piece, they need to have a very specific skill set in order for them to operate in that role. But at the same time, they have to be able to communicate and interact with people at a level where other people want to be around them. And I think finding that in a culture is critical. And that's where I find myself now. I'm just about 45 days into my new role with appointment dynamics. And my part is connecting with people and trying to understand who they are and how they fit, and then supporting them within the organization. And I think all of us as leaders, it's twofold. We're all leaders, no matter if you are a groundskeeper or you're a CEO for an organization, you play a part in leadership. And it's just a different set of responsibilities that you have. But it's people are interacting. And once you set that, um, then the numbers and the performance comes. So companies that are performing consistently at a high level, and you have companies that operate, they're performing and then they struggle, then they're performing and then they struggle. That's an inconsistent culture. Maybe that could be at the people that are driving the business, or maybe that is at the leadership role, where you have inconsistent actions that are taking place. And the more consistent you are, the more consistent your performance is going to be. So that's kind of where I am right now, making sure that we're doing the things, and we're following what our core values are and holding people accountable in a good way to make sure that we've established that.
I love it. I really like I mean, all of that. There's so much to dissect in all of what you've just shared, but I really appreciate the fact that you called out the inconsistencies, right? That oftentimes we will see where it goes high and low, but it's really just a testament of someone's company culture at the end of the day, and what is and what isn't being done, because it's not always just about the numbers, the ROI, the bottom line. There's so much that happens intricately in the middle pieces that make it fundamental. And that naturally goes into our next question, which you kind of talked about, but just for some clarity purposes, how would you describe the current company culture, or like just the feel, right? When you work at Apartment Dynamics, like who would be and what would they say it's like to work there?
So uh, it is such an amazing company. Mary and Tom Gwynn have done an incredible job with apartment dynamics and the culture. They listen. Um, they seek out people's opinions. They engage with people. Everybody's rolling up their sleeves, no matter what your position is. We take out the trash. We interact in the office. We move together as one team. And I think that's critically important. And people in all roles want to see that type of level of engagement. And I think that's the key word is engagement. And uh, companies will, I'm not going to say fail, but they don't hit marks because they don't have people that are engaged at the level that you need them to be engaged at. I think being innovative, um, people that they're just being self-starters. It's looking at something and knowing that it needs to be addressed. This organization has people that see an area of opportunity and they just lean into it. And then others seem to come around them to help find solutions to problems. And I think that's an extraordinary behavior that this company has. And I think people embrace that. It is a company that has tenured people because they love the culture and they love the way that they're treated. They respect the fact that they're being listened to. And I think that those are critical factors. And, people can be driven on performance metrics. And yes, we're in business and that's why we're here. We're here to deliver for owners, investors, whoever we may be responsible for. But the way that I see it is if you're cultivating teams and they want to show up every day and they want to be a part of something greater than themselves, that's where your performance numbers come from. And the more engaged your teams are, the more consistent those performance metrics are. And a lot of people, I'm going to say a lot of people, there are people out there that are focused on numbers and focused on metrics and not necessarily and that's where problems, and that's where you lose people, and you don't have that um, reputation of being an organization that's actually effectively listening to people around you. And there's a trust level there too. You have to trust that people are doing the things that you need them to do, but also provide the support that you need at the same time. And I've worked with some incredible leaders in my career, and I do want to give a shout out to David Fakito and the teams at Advenir Azor as well. Uh, he taught me how to focus in on people. And he was always there to tell me, Carl, how can I support you? And how can I help you? And how can I be there for you? And, that was from a CEO to a COO level. And I learned an incredible amount from him. And, I see that in Mary and Tom as well, that support. And, that's meant to be pushed down. So people learn in all these roles how to do that. And then it gets pushed down from a COO to an RVP or a director of operations. And then it gets pushed down to a regional team where regional managers and regional directors learn and understand how to listen and coach their people and set expectations. And, I've learned that, companies don't, in large part, companies don't fail people as more people fail on themselves. And you have to lean in and you have to take a couple of steps on the bridge and meet the people that are trying to help coach you and build a culture that is meaningful. And I think, for people out there, when it comes to your supervisors and the people that are there, it's really dive into those one-on-one meetings that you have and build confidence and trust in each other that they are there for you and they are there to help you and they are there to support you. And I think it's real important for our assistant community managers and our property managers to learn how to do that, because you have these micro teams that are floating around, and you have your executive team, and you've got your regional team, and you have your site teams. And the site teams are the ones that drive the business, and your regional directors or the site teams are the ones that drive the business, and your regional directors or regional managers are basically carrying the flag for the company. And as the regional team goes, the site team goes. And as the site teams go, the performance goes. And they're all interconnected in the culture of each company that we have. So teaching managers and service managers and assistant training managers how to coach their teams and drive the culture. And, everybody needs to have their own non-negotiables, right? You will stand up and you will meet people and you will smile. And to say you will is kind of rough. But that's a company culture. And the way that you greet somebody is you're an ambassador for the company, and how you greet people and how you interact with people, and how you react when things don't go the way you want them to, it's very impactful on people. So I think learning how to do that, especially on the community manager, assistant manager, service manager side, is very critical in our business and how you grow people. And most companies want to grow from within. So teaching people the culture and how we coach people and how we drive performance, and um, how we hold people accountable is critical. And just real quick, accountability. People hear that and they oh, accountability. So there's two sides to that. There's two consequences to accountability. When things don't go well, right? So there's an accountability piece to that, and that's where the opportunity to grow is. And there's also a consequence of success and accountability. And you take accountability for when things go right, and you push that down to the people that are actually doing the things that bring about your success, and making sure that they're recognized for that. So
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
accountability and
there was so much to unpack with all of that. I think Mary and Tom would be very impressed. And I think that just is a testament to how you all holistically connect together. And it's really one team, one vision. And how do you find unity with each other, even from a micro level, like you said, all the way to the regional, to the executive level, and how you all are operating? Because at the end of the day, I love the fact that you talk about accountability. Oftentimes, that is where I feel like lack of leadership or inconsistent cultures can be lacking the accountability piece. And sometimes accountability doesn't need to be this scary word, but it's at some sense it helps guide us to where we have to continue to go and evolve. And I love the fact that you guys really implement that. And I appreciate the fact in the very beginning that you talked about how there's no silo in terms of who does what in what job description, and then this person does only these items in that job description. It's like at the end of the day, we're all not ego driven on who has to, like you said, take out the trash, or who has to help in those different areas and parameters. And I think that's all led by example. It's not just a bunch of words on a wall or things that are just being taught, but it's really demonstrated through your guys' actions and the way that you're showing up for your teams, and the incredible tenure that you guys all have been able to acquire over that time. And that naturally goes into, my next question, which I'm really curious. So whenever teams are, even just in prior, leadership roles that you've been in, and where you're heading now with apartment dynamics, your goal, right, is to continue to evolve, to maintain, evolve, and get to where you're ultimately heading. How do you maintain your existing culture, and how do you evolve into continuously growing? I know there's always growing pains that happen. And there's always shifts, and there's always, looking at, are the right people in the right seats? What would be your best, feedback or advice, for anybody making that change of, okay, we're going to grow as an organization, but how do you keep intact or help continue to create and cultivate that healthy company culture along the way?
So I think a lot of that's done individually with people. So the first thing is having the right leaders in place. And talk about leadership for a second. Like, you just don't become a leader. I mean, your life experience molds you into the person that you are today. And then with that, you have a certain level of leadership and responsibility. And people that are able to grab on to the challenges in their careers and the opportunities that were presented and actually take a step back and learn from those experiences and grow are the ones that become effective leaders. And I think it's, one of our core values at Apartment Dynamics is being authentic. And I think if you're authentic in how you approach things and you allow people to be authentic themselves, then I think that's where people grow. To grow an organization, you need to have a strategy and a plan. You don't just show up and things fall into place. Somebody has to lead that. And, I've had experiences in my career where I wasn't prepared as maybe I should have been on some things. And those were areas of opportunities for me where I've learned how to be more strategic and more tactical in how I approach things, uh, purposeful, driven to get to a point. And then having people around me that are able to grab onto the vision and I'll say again, engage in that and drive to a successful conclusion of what that strategy is. Having like-minded people and, property management per se is a crisis management industry, right? We all have a plan and we all kind of do our agendas and map out our day, and 10 minutes into it, you can put that off to the side because it's all re-racked and it's all changed. And it's having people that are effective and taking on unplanned events or unplanned things and able to navigate through that. And that is, you're able to be effective at that by going through those types of scenarios where you build confidence in yourself. And the more confidence you have, the easier it gets to get through growth. But it's having people around you, and that goes back to the interview process we talked about at the beginning of the call, where it's having the right people, right? So interviewing for behaviors, interviewing for people that are able to catch those things and be able to throw it, and find solutions to problems and where you find growth. And I think right now it's building the stability for long-term growth, and that's having the right KPIs in place and having the right strategy in place by rule to make sure that you're successful. And that takes a lot of pre-planning, which goes back to having the right experience. So, it's funny, people that have worked with me kind of know this, but, I keep Band-Aids in my bag. And when somebody gets scraped up or, things don't go their way and they're frustrated, I just kind of hand them a Band-Aid and say, put on a Band-Aid, skin your knee, get up, let's get going, and kind of make light of it. But we want people to make mistakes. We want people to grow. Not one person can break a company. And, and with that comes growth. So through those things that don't go right is where an organization learns, and they go stronger from that. And it's allowing people to get scraped up a little bit, knowing that they have a safety net, that as long as you learn from it and as long as the company learns from it, um, things work out well. I worked for a gentleman named Scott Jones with Donaldson, and he had us do after action reviews where we would kind of document what didn't go right, and then we shared that with the regional team. So the whole team got to learn when something didn't go well, and it's not a fault and it's not a finger pointing exercise. It's more of a, this is what happened and this is what we learned and this is how we're all going to move forward as a team. And that was very beneficial for me and it stuck with me. So as I go through scenarios that maybe didn't go the way that I wanted it to, it's nothing more than a growth opportunity. And having people around you that understand that's how the business works. It's not going to go right every day. And it's having the right people that can manage through that and is having the right company that has the core values and the practices and the mission in place that can effectively manage through that. And that's how you build strength in a company. That's how you build a reputation as an organization that people want to work with, not for. And everybody kind of adds their value to it. And that's what's worked for me.
Yes, I think like the few things that I took away from what you shared is having perseverance, that grit mentality, and to be able to be authentic through that process of like, you don't need to fake it till you make it. It's really just leaning in, learning, and growing collectively as a team and as an individual and taking ownership through that process. And then setting the clarity, setting the intentionality, and then moving forward. I think that's kind of the biggest things that really stood out to me based on all the things that you shared in terms of how do you grow, how do you evolve, putting the right people in the right seats. And that starts from the very beginning of the process of interviewing all the way to getting them acclimated into the team environment. And then where is it going to go from there? You know, when they're heavily immersed inside the culture add, you know, like essentially how are they adding the value to make it better, essentially, as all of us collectively want. My last and final question is, essentially, what is it that you guys hope that anybody who has worked with the organization or would consider working with your organization that they would experience or they would say it's like to work at Apartment Dynamics?
Well, we've had some people that have left that are actually looking to get back into the company, which is a great reputation to have. I think it's how people are listened to, and I think a lot of companies go through this. There's a lot of great companies out there with enormous leadership, um, people that are making decisions for companies, and sometimes people don't realize how good they have it, or they think the grass is greener, and they leave and they end up going to a new organization. Maybe it's not what they thought it was going to be. Um, and then they come back, or they want to come back. And uh, I think a lot of companies can take a lot of pride in that. And I think for people that are looking to leave, take a step back, look at what you have, look at the value that you have, look at the time that you've invested in that organization, and then evaluate it that way. I think what people see in us is it's a company where you're valued. We understand the pressure that you go under every single day. A lot of it is pressures that are brought about by the organization that are trying to hit, you know, performance numbers. Uh, People put self pressure on themselves of, uh, did I do it the right way? Did I say the right thing? Did I do everything I could to fix that problem? Um, and I think what we provide to people is an organization that truly cares about you. And, we want people of service to serve others. And I think that's where a lot of value is. And I think it goes back to, again, finding the right people that have those kind of skill sets and behaviors. And it's just how people are wired. People that want to give of themselves for 8+ hours a day in service to others, whether it's showing an apartment or cleaning the grounds or cleaning an apartment or following up on renewals. All those things play a part, and having um, a servant leader mentality, which is another one of our core values, is critical to us as an organization. Companies are just they're platforms for people to interact in their purpose of why they're here. And I think everybody adds value to that. It's kind of like having a pitcher of fruit punch and everybody kind of adding their fruit to the fruit punch, right? And, if we do that and we're open to what people provide to an organization, that organization benefits from it. And that's what I see in apartment dynamics. And that's what I've seen in other companies that I've worked with. Um, it's when people are really looking out for themselves and not looking out for the team that adversely impacts organizations. So it's finding the right people that have the right mindsets.
Yes, I love it. I mean, this was such an informative and helpful. It gives a little bit more context into who you guys are, your culture, your brand, the reputation, and really it's all about the people. And I would say anybody who is looking for new opportunity, if you're like, hey, if you're in the Carolina area or if they expand even further out, apartment dynamics is something you're definitely going to want to go follow them, see all the impactful things that you guys are heading to continuously do within your communities. And we're just so grateful for your time today, Carl. Thank you for sharing time with us. We can't wait to push this forward. And I'm so glad we had you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening and sharing your time with us on the show. I hope you enjoyed listening and learning from various leaders our industry is so fortunate to have inside the real estate space. If you're a high-level leader within the diverse real estate ecosystem and looking to land your next venture and would like to share your story from your own voice and perspective, or if you're a leading real estate organization and want to share through your own voice and narrative your company culture, values, and ways you recruit and retain top talent, let's get connected. Then be sure to check out our firm also at Cory Executive Recruiting and Leaders on Deck via CoryExecutive.com. Our mission is to continue to be trailblazers within the recruitment space and bring meaningful leaders to the forefront to drive growth and empower people. If you've enjoyed this session, please like, comment, and subscribe to support us. And thank you so much to our partners at Multifamily Media Network. We couldn't be more grateful for our collaboration. Stay tuned and join us on our journey.